Okay, next up on the list is Elvis's second gospel album, How Great Thou Art, which came out in 1966. And this was Elvis, actually, his kind of first steps after a series of movies that were very formulaic. Thankfully, not all of them got an LP, but you had a lot of films kind of in a row that were very similar as far as his character and profession. You know, he had Spin Out and Viva Las Vegas. He was a race car driver, Kissing Cousins. But this is him getting back to his roots, getting back to the gospel music that influenced and inspired him growing up. And this album was the first that Elvis actually won a Grammy for. So this is particularly special. Much like His Hand in Mine, you don't necessarily have to be religious or Christian to appreciate the music on this album. It is a very fine album, nonetheless. Songs like How Great Thou Art and Crying in the Chapel, which was a #1 hit for him. By and By, Where Could I Go But to the Lord? Stand By Me. Stand By Me is a phenomenal vocal performance. My favorite song on this, though, is Run On. This is I would argue, is a superior album to His Hand in Mine. The credentials are obviously there to make the case that this is a better album than His Hand in Mine. But Elvis's version of Run On, or as some people know, God's Gonna Cut You Down, which Johnny Cash later did near the end of his life, originally was done by Odetta, and Elvis's version is very much inspired by Odetta's version, even though his comes from a place of more that traditional gospel group, kind of that big full sound that you would get from, I don't know, like the Golden Gate Quartet. But Odetta's definitely informative. If you can find her version, listen to that, and then listen to Elvis's version of Run On. That's one of my favorites off this album. Like I said, Crying in the Chapel was a big hit for him off this album. There are a few of these songs that I didn't know necessarily as well going into this listen this time around. I didn't actually have this album on CD or vinyl. Most of the gospel music of his that I had growing up was on the Elvis Ultimate Gospel CD that came out, I want to say like 2005, 2004, 2005, which kind of culled from His Hand in Mine, How Great Thou Art, and He Touched Me. So I didn't actually have this one. And so there were a few of these songs that I weren't as familiar with compared to like Run On and Crying in the Chapel. But this is a phenomenal album, and there's a reason why it won a Grammy. This is Elvis getting back to the music that really meant something to him, and it shows. Yeah, this is one of the essential Elvis albums, I would argue. In fact, even more so than either His Hand in Mine or He Touched Me later on. I would argue this is the best of his gospel albums. Check it out.